Hello everyone and welcome to a new project on SketchUp. In this particular assignment, we are going to create a 3D SketchUp model from a 2D house plan, that is a layout of a house, apartment, bungalow or whatever you get your hands by. Proceeding, now we will try to understand what are the skill sets that you require to possess in order to go through this whole course. First thing is, you require to know the basics of Google SketchUp. You need to know the basic tool set, how to create a file, save a file, and so on. Secondly, you need to know the basics of AutoCAD. In the previous session, we learned how to use the basic AutoCAD and create a three-dimensional plan out of the 2D model that we have. The third and one of the most important things that you need to know is the knowledge of geometry. Since this time we are going to work in three-dimensional space, you need to know and be aware of all the three axes that are used in design, that is X, Y and Z, that is three-dimensional design. So you need to know the basics of drafting, connection of surfaces, opening of surfaces, the isometrics, axonometry and all the angles of viewing and so on. Let us proceed. Following will be the course objectives. That is, these are the objectives that we are going to implement during or through the course. The first one is, we are going to use the advanced palette of tools that is in SketchUp. We are also going to learn shortcuts and few tips and tricks. We are going to create and import CAD files from Google SketchUp and Google SketchUp files from CAD. Next one is, we are going to create and do an exercise of creating a 3D floor plan, that is the model of a house or an apartment, from a 2D floor plan that you have already created or have with you in a 2D dimensional AutoCAD file. Also, we are going to learn a few tips and tricks. What are the things that you are going to learn in this course? First one is the introduction to advanced palettes. The second one is creating a basic floor plan in both AutoCAD and SketchUp. So just to mention, like there are different level of details when it comes to SketchUp. Imagine the number of details that you can point out or use or make yourself in a 3D file, a 3D model. So it is going to be more varied than the application of two-dimensional plans, hence the details. And that is the reason we are calling it basic, because we can go to any depth of detail we want, but not now. Maybe in the previous courses we have learned how to create a plan. Here we will make a 3D plan and then we will go towards detailing the same. The next point is, you are going to learn how to export and operate in interchangeable file formats. For example, AutoCAD file works and runs in Google SketchUp. That is how you create a base of design which you will be protruding after creating surfaces in Google SketchUp. The fourth, shortcuts, do's and don'ts and tips and tricks. This final set is going to make you do the work faster or maybe in more precise way, wasting less time and speeding up your whole procedure of designing. So we are also going to now see what are the prerequisites for this course. That is, what are the requirements that is to be there with you when you start the course. The very basic requirement is you need to know how to operate AutoCAD at a basic beginner level. Secondly, you should be able to use SketchUp at beginner level as well. That is, like just I told you, that you need to know the basic tools and drafting of SketchUp. You need to be aware of the user interface of how SketchUp works. Also, as stated earlier, you need to have a knowledge of geometrical shapes and basic orthography. With that, another point that is very important while making a design is the basic conversion of units. That is, when you create a file in mm or inches, you must be aware of what is the convergence between basic units, so that it is easy for you apply and visualize. Now we will see who are the students or who are the people who are going to be benefited with this course. Obviously, the participants who are working in construction and design industry can have a hand-on experience on Google SketchUp and create the visualization and conceptualization by their own. For those who are interested to create a layout or conceptual design, if someone wants to create a 3D model out of a given two-dimensional layout or plan, this course is for you. Also, interior designers and decorators can use these tricks and tips to enhance their designing skills. And lastly, the architecture students and contractors. Now, what are the skill sets that you are going to acquire by the end of this course? Let us list them out. You will be having a good practical session of modeling in Google SketchUp with all the tips and tricks that are going to help you to increase your productivity. You are going to create a floor plate, a three-dimensional floor plate to be specific, with all the architectural elements, that is with the doors, windows and the detailings that are required for the basic designing. You are going to learn the scaling, the calibrating of modeling itself, creating different surfaces, rotating them, modifying them, and so on. By the end of the course, you are also going to create a basic layout in AutoCAD. We have done that in the previous session, but here I am going to use an already existing CAD file which we are going to use for the scaling and tracing of the plan, which will be eventually helpful for us to make a 3D model. By the end of the course, you are also going to learn how to export AutoCAD and SketchUp file into interchangeable models. You are also going to learn the editing of materials, applying of materials to create a 3D realistic model or view. Not only that it is pleasing to eyes, but also depicts what exactly you want to use as a texture or surface. We are also going to look at how to create scenes, edit them, use the sun settings, the geographical settings in Google SketchUp. Here, also like previously explained, I'll just read out the points for you. We are going to create a three-dimensional floor plate with all the architectural elements. We are going to create, import and export CAD files from Google SketchUp and vice versa. We are going to use and edit materials to create realistic models with textures, scenes, and exporting of images and views. We are going to use the following commands or say the techniques of scaling, calibrating, modeling, creating surfaces, rotating, moving, etc. with help of the advanced palettes. We are also going to learn to export and create AutoCAD layout files from SketchUp model. If you make a 3D model and you want to export a slice of it into AutoCAD files, you are going to learn it here. Finally, if you can see my cursor, there is another point that we are going to teach you. That is the use of layers in the SketchUp. Like you have layers in AutoCAD, you also have layers in SketchUp. Let's move to the next part. There is going to be a case study which is going to be associated. That is, we have to create a three-dimensional SketchUp model from a given 2D house apartment or a bungalow apartment plan. Then we are going to have a detailed 3D model with all the elements. We are going to create views and images and learn the basic handling of Google SketchUp. So here we are done with the part of explanation of what you are going to learn in the course. Let us proceed now to the part where we cover the SketchUp and Autodesk AutoCAD. So let's move ahead to the part where we are now looking at how SketchUp user interface looks like. As you can see, there are three axes, the green, red and the blue, representing X, Y and Z respectively. The dotted lines here represent the extension of the axes. Basically, when the user interface opens or the software opens, this is what you see. You see a default tray on your right, which has entity info, materials, components, and so on, these options. And these are the basic options which you see on the top of your toolbar. Now to start with the other toolboxes, let's right click. When you right click on the pan, you get these drop down options where you can tick mark to activate the options. For example, now I would require the shadow option. I'll click again. I'll require a large tool set. As you can see, this tool set has appeared on the left. I can drag this. When you see, for example, when you move around or hover on this space, you can see when you hover around and you see this dot here and starting off every toolbar, the set of tools, you can click as soon as the arrow is active, move arrow, and you can drag it around to any place and keep it outside. You keep it on the pan. So here I'm going to again right click. I am clicking off the get started pan. Here we have more options. You can click styles so that you have a preview of how the surface of the drafted geometry is going to be. As we go ahead, we are going to keep clicking and activating the options. For now, I am clicking the camera option. If I keep it on the double deck, you can see more options are visible and available to be used. This is the first part of the introduction. You can see with the click of the middle, you can have the orbit option which is activated all through. Zooming out, you can scroll out. For zooming in, you can point at any particular direction. Wherever I point my arrow and scroll in, that particular area is zoomed in, if you can see. I hope this basic understanding is clear between you. Now in the second part of this basic knowledge, we are going to learn how is the unit changed and a few more things. To change the units, you can go to the windows, click preferences, and then this whole dialog box opens up. You can change the colors of the axes and the other colors, application, compatibility. You can also use these drawing clicks which actually let you control how you are going to draft these things. The files and the location of the files of materials, components and everything, you can edit it by clicking, or click this folder option and you can go to the Windows Explorer and set the output location. These are the other settings. Here we need to look at the templates. The first thing that we use are the templates or the units that we are going to draft in. For myself, I'm going to use here architectural design, that is millimeters. I'm going to click OK, and you need to restart the file when you start drafting the same. And I'm going to check this. As you can see on this right bottom, it is still in fit 10 inches. So after checking this, I'm going to restart the file. Once that is done, you have file here from where you can save or save as the file. These are the very basics of what is required to save, edit and start a file. Now, as you have already been familiar with the user interface, the options, etc., let us move to the first part of our assignment. In this assignment, we are going to make a plan and convert it into 3D using Google SketchUp. Here I have with me a plan which we were making in the last session, which looks pretty complete now. So we are going to use one by one the floors. As you can see, there are 3 plans of 3 different levels: the ground, the first level and the terrace level. To begin with the file, we need to first trace out the outlines. We need to know where the lines end. We need to know where the windows lie. We also need to know where the openings are, the level up and down for the steps, as well as the columns, that is the structural elements. We'll come to the furnitures later. So let us start tracing this file. I'm going to use polyline option. I enter PL space and I'm going to break the line on the particular intersections where I see the windows. As you can see, we can get the lines in parts. And I'm going to end this line here. When I escape and I click, you can see we have the line right through the periphery. We are going to extend that line again. We are going to use a polyline command and move to the points which have junctions or starting or ending of the openings in the wall. We are going to fast forward this sequence so that you understand and do it yourself. You see now, I've selected the polyline that I have already drafted around the plan. For the internal lines, I'm going to use polyline again. I'm going to draft a single line from the periphery of the walls so that I can have a single line when I require them in the SketchUp. If you can see, this is the third polyline, the internal line. You have another polyline here for the internal line. I'm going to draft again this door side right from the beginning to the other part of the line. Using the polyline again, I'm here going to draft with the O snap tracking. I'm going to see what side I'm going to draw the line towards. Here you have to click it here for the door. I'm going ahead, join it to the line straight forward. I require another line so that I can draw this internal line and I'll join it to the external line. Now I'm going to select one of the lines, right click and say select similar. So I have all the similar lines here. M space, that is the command for move. I'm going to move the complete plan towards its left. If you can see, I have this extra line which I'm going to remove and explode this line with X space so that I have the outline drawn. I'm extending this line and again exploding this part to remove this line. You almost have the trace of this plan in a single line, as you can see here. And when you click, you can understand after exploding, you have everything in single line. So you know which doors you have to remove, which openings you have to make. Also keep in mind, always keep the AutoCAD plan beside you when you are working. I'm going to save this file. Let us move one step ahead with the exercise. As you can see, I have traced the plan already, exploded the whole surface. So I have all the single lines here and the complex files on the right. With the zoom and extend, let me check if there is another file in the workspace. No, there isn't. So now I'm going to delete these unnecessary files. And when you see, I'm going to unlock this layer to delete it. Now with the zoom extend, I can see there is only one plan in here. And I'm going to save this file. in a drawing, and I'm going to name it and save it as SketchUp trace file. I'm going to update the sheet and view the thumbnails, and let me save the file. Now we open the SketchUp file and we see the software is open. Here we are going to import the CAD file. Pressing import, you get the tab where you have to click, and as you can see I have my folder. I'm going to search for the AutoCAD file. As you see, I have it in my Google SketchUp folder, and I'm going to double click and import. As you can see, the AutoCAD entity imported also shows you the information of the layers, the blocks and circles. So as you can see, you have 22 layers. So more the layers, there is more problem of complexity. You can see the scale is still not visible. The other lines are still in the block. So these files were hidden or not purged in the CAD file. So here let me go back again, and I am going to type purge, and I am going to purge everything including the nested items. I'm purging them all. I'm going to purge all items. Close. I'm going to regenerate the model. So now when you see, you have nothing much left. All the layers are now gone. The file is clean. I'm going to use flatten command. I'm going to flatten these surfaces. As you can see, after the flattening, there will be a guarantee that you do not have any third dimension line, which is going to be tough for you to handle when it comes to the SketchUp. I'm going to save this again. Let us try importing it again and see what is the difference. I go to File, Import, and after saving, if you can see, there are only 4 layers, no other circles, no lines. The problem still persists. So now what we are going to do is we are going to explode this. Let's take the next way out of this. By exploding, you have these 4 different entities. I'm going to delete those I don't want. I'm going to delete the figurine. So as you can see here, I have imported a file already. The file that we have in a single group. So we need to explode to get them all separated. You can see it takes a bit of time. The entity explodes itself. You can see the cursor is rotating, and now looks like they are all exploded. We have one set here which is now being highlighted, which is single line plan, the polyline trace of the plan, and on the other hand here we have the detailed plan. We have kept them both so that you understand the difference between how you're going to use or what is the advantage of one over the other. Let us first try here. There is a way where we can trace each and every part like this, where we can make surface and protrude the surfaces. I'm going to undo that, and we are going to follow the minimal, or you can say the easiest procedure. In this case, we are going to draw a line on any one of the ends. Let me keep the measure for 3000 mm, that is 3 meters. I can see the wall single line standing. I am going to now increase the wall depth by drafting another line by copying. And how you are going to copy is, let me show you again. Click the point. When you start dragging, you see it is not yet separated, but as soon as you press Ctrl, the line copies itself. and here I am going to write 230 mm, since that is going to be the exact depth of the external wall. From one point to the other point, I'm going to use the command R for rectangle, and you can see a single surface is formed. Now we're going to select this double surface and use this command, follow me, and I'm going to click it from the end that I want to pull it forward from. You can see if you click it for the single point, it is going to track the line and stop at the other end. I'm going to undo this, and now I'm going to follow. After one click, you can let the cursor follow the line that you want the plane to be drafted along. So I'm going to track this line slowly, one by one. I'm going to turn it around like this. Along the periphery, I'm going to take it. Now this side, the next side, and the next side. I'm going to orbit, bring it to the next side. We have the deck here, so I'm going to rotate the wall from here again to this point, and the finish point. You can see the whole surface or the external wall is created. I am going to now select them all together, right click and make them a group. When I enter, I get only the walls, which is easier for me to operate. I'm going to select them all together, and right away going to apply a material to them. These are all the options. After the drop down menu, I will use colors, where I'll take any sample color. I'm going to select them all, apply color, escape and come out. You can see all my walls are created. Similarly, for the internal walls, I'm going to create a line. I have already the reference surface. I'm going to copy this particular line, the move and control, and let me use the unit 150. There is another way of creating the surface. You can see you can have the surface now. I'm going to click it and again use the follow me command, and you can see I am going to trace the line, but it is going to only cover the lines that are drafted. So you can see I have to stop here. Now I am going to double click the surface, control copy it to the other point, and again going to use follow me command. As you can see, single clicks is going to only let it go up to the point where it gets a junction. Now I am going to track it along the line I want it to be. And there you go. You have a surface. To move this surface, I am going to control select and copy it to the other side. Now you see I have another surface to be pulled from the other side. Using the follow me command, I am going to move it along the line, only up to be dragged to a point where I have the end of the line. Now as you can see, we have two surfaces. One is in the group, the external walls. The other one, when I click it, it only selects the newly drafted walls. I'm going to triple select everything. You can see the plan as well is also selected. For that, I'm going to use selection from this particular end, and you can see all the walls are selected. Selecting the shift, I'm going to click off the surfaces that I do not require to be in the group. Going forward, I've selected these walls and non-selected the ones that I don't require. I've deselected all the surfaces that I did not want. I'm going to right click, make a group out of them again. Right, now I can select them both. From a particular point, I'm going to move them and bring it to a reference point. You can see we have already tracked. Just place it properly. So after placing the model, we need to have level or a surface below, which right now we can't see. We're going to grow in the group. With a double click, we are going to select the whole surface, and with move and control command, I'm going to copy everything, paste it below, and also with control C, copy it. Now I come out of the command and we with right click hide this particular surface. Now we are going to make this a group so that the planes don't coincide and do not form different geometries or planes. With right click, I'm making a group so that everything stays in the group. I'm going to delete the perpendicular or the vertical surfaces so that everything is flattened. Now I'm to edit and paste in place the surface below. So none of the surfaces are now going to coincide. I'm going to make it a group. And now when I enter, I have all the traces which I can see for the windows and the doors. I'm going to make rectangles at every point. Delete the previous surface. Make another rectangle here. Make the whole surface. You can see you have different parts now, different planes created. I'm going to make another rectangle. And so on. You can see there is a door here. Making a rectangle for the door. Can you see the door? It's now selected with a dotted surface. There is a surface on the window. We are now going to rotate orbit. Here we can see there is another place for the door. We are going to create it. At this point we have a window which we will make with a rectangle. We are going to fast forward this sequence so that you understand and implement it according to your own design and model. We are almost on the last part of making this slider French window. You have a window here as well. Now I think we have created everything almost. So now with the control A, I'm going to see how many surfaces are present, out of which I'm going to delete the center one. Now select with control all. I copy it with control C. And now I'm going to edit and unhide the last one. So you can see we have the model back again. We're going to enter the group, edit, and before we edit and paste it in the place, let me scroll down to see if you can have a look at how the surfaces are going to appear in this particular place. You can see the surface has been pasted and we have different planes at every particular level. Now we can push or pull the surface we want like this. If you can see, in this case, it looks like the line is not complete. We are going to move this particular line, the move command, and see now. If we push, it gets on both the surfaces. So it is very necessary to cut through a surface. You need to have both the surfaces joined together with the same plane. Now to raise the height, I am going to make this door as 2200, that is 2200 mm, which looks ideal to me. The door is formed as soon as I enter the units for the push command. Similarly, you can see all the track of the doors. We are going to make a rectangle here to create a puncture with a push. Now to see, this is a trick. When you push and you double click it, it will be raised to the same level as the previous door. Now here you can see there's a door pushed to the same level. Similarly, we can draw the door of rest all of the surfaces. You can see we have a void which is open up to the top. At such place we can move, and with control we can copy the surface up to the required, that is 2200 in our case mm. Without losing the selection, press P command and then you can pull the surface and adjust it according to whatever your surface is. Here I'm going to make it and bring it to this point. As you can see, by triple selecting, I'm going to cut this surface, enter the group, edit and paste in place. So you can see it is all single entity now. After erasing the lines, I can get single smooth surface. If you can see, there is a little gap. It happens at times. You need to be cautious, and now as you see, the lines have merged. Complete all the other surfaces like the one left here. And if you can see, as soon as we complete the rectangle in here, the point, you'll get a surface. We have more doors to go. Let's start looking at from the trace in the bottom. We have another door here where we can draw a line on the apt crossing point, draw on green axis and push again to 2200, and we get another door. Scroll out orbiting. The internal doors are almost ready with the last one to go. In this point I am going to use another technique. Let's select the line which is in the bottom, and then I'm moving with a control copy option. For example, now you see I have lost the track of where I was. At such point you can go back and click this previous button and you can press it till you receive the point where you were. Here I'm going to press up, press a control and 2200. When I enter, you can see I will have a line formed here. This divides the plane and I'm going to pull this and join it to my required surface, which also gives me another door. Similarly, here we are going to just show a block. Let's go to this layer, make a rectangle right from the trace in the bottom, increase the column width, making another rectangle, erase this line, draw another rectangle representing this internal wall and pulling them both to the same level as 3300 is going to give us both the walls. Here we are going to use the same technique. We are going to move control with a 2200 mm to the right. When we enter, get a point. You see this point is outside the line, I can move it on the green axis. You can see the third plane is formed. By pulling, I get a door again, which will act as the archway. You can see the line has now come to the same color, the plane, which means they are now single plane. We need to make another door for the front. Let us have a look where. Looks like it is here. I'm going to push it again to 2200. We get another door. For the exit, we're going to have another main door at this particular point. Now here we're going to double click the push, that is to 2200. Now you can see almost all the doors are ready. You can check it from the bottoms. And as you can see, most of it that is left is the window part. We are now going to proceed to the part of windows. Now as you can see the bottom, you have these windows to be made, some of which are French windows, for which I'm going to identify and then push them to 2200 sill level. There is one window. Here we go for another. And you can see after double clicking, the push command pushes it back to 2200 level. There is another wall which we can see is coming out from this side. Let us make it with a rectangle. You can see you have a plane, and let's bring it to a level after it prompts you, and to the second level which is required. We are not going to the very details of the model according to the CAD plan, but we are going to create a 3D model which looks fair enough for you to understand what the planning or the dimensioning is. You can see the basic planning of the house. Now here we will proceed to the windows. You can see there is a window here as well. We enter the group and 2200. Since we have lost the last dimension, we pushed another dimension, so the progress is lost. These windows which you can see are going to be shorter windows, so we are going to copy and create this plane which we are going to paste at a certain level we require. So the sill level is going to be for us 1000 mm. I am doing an input of 1000, and another one to 2200. If you can see, there are slight traces of the line. When you pull out, you can see here there are traces of the line. Now if I'm trying to connect them and I come down with the down arrow, you can see it is prompting me. Now what I can do is erase a line here, click, copy the same, bring it to the next point as it prompts me, and when I push this surface, to 1000 mm. So now we can use another trick for making the low height windows. You can select the surface, select the internal surface and push with a control. So you can see if I push it with a control and put in 1000 units, and then I'm going to push this surface again with a control, go further beyond up to 2200. I'm going to erase the rest of the not required lines. As you can see, to the other surface, you have a window already formed. You need to decrease or erase the extra surfaces. So you have a window here. Same is the technique that we are going to use for the other two. Now that we already have a reference point, to push with a control, to use the reference point. Again with a control, to grow it, push it there. As you can see, we have this whole surface. We are going to erase the unnecessary lines. See, there is an entity problem. And we push the surface to the external one, and we can delete the rest. So you have a wall here. We're going to erase the extra lines. The ones that are not required are being erased. As you see, you can erase all the extra lines. There's this extra line on this side. You can have another here. Similarly, we can make another one. Similarly, we did make this toilet window. Toilet sill level is going to be a little above the normal sill level. So we are going to use another 500 mm. And as you can see, most of the windows are now complete with the rest of the doors. We are going to click, change the color of all the walls, Control A for all the controls. For now, I'm going to press B, pick the color from the picker and color the whole surface and escape. You can see all the walls are in the same layer and material now. Now let us move to the next part, that is the doors and the windows that we have to physically place as an object or the fixture. Before we do that, let us move away this plan for us to understand how our model has turned out to be. It looks pretty fine for the representation that we require. Now to place the windows, let us go to Windows, 3D Warehouse, and as you can see, there will be a pop-up which will take you to the 3D Warehouse. 3D Warehouse connects you to the 3D model house or place where all the 3D SketchUp models or components are online available. You can search from the collection that you want and you will be redirected. Here I am going to write doors and windows. You can see you can find models, you can find collections. Scrolling through, you can see many different users, those who have uploaded their models, and they are free to use, so you can use them for your own purpose wherever you require. You can keep the models by saving them, and you can use them later whenever you want. We see a lot of sets of doors and windows. The one that we require can be found in a large file, something like this. Let us click and see how the preview comes up and what kind of windows they have. Looks like there are a lot of them, and we will be able to use most of it. Let us download. Always keep in mind that more the polygons, the heavier the model is going to be. More the requirement of space, the heavier the model is going to be. So let us download this one and see. I am going to now sign in. So of the collections, we visit the last one that we visited, and we are going to download. Yes, we can directly download it. As you can see, the download is in progress. Smaller the model, faster is the download, and more time you get to modify or apply that to your model. Saving time is always advisable in SketchUp. How you can see, the model will be loaded and there are lots of windows. Let's place them somewhere else. We are going to enter the group and pick up whatever we require. So we can see we require doors, all sort of doors. There are many kind of windows. We are going to use mainly the big doors, the double doors, the single ones. I'm going to select them. Here you can see there are complex and different type of doors in both the closed and open positions. Let me choose a few of them. So as you can see the windows here, one by one, I'm going to place them. I'm going to choose 3 windows, copy them, bring them out, paste them out here near the model. And now I'm going to place them. Once you hover with entering the move command, you see these pick points. If you click them or you go on them, you will see it will prompt you for rotation. It will rotate on its axis the center point. So it is very easy to rotate it. If you type a 90, you will get a 90-degree turn. Here I need another 90. I'm going to rotate it with another 90. I'm going to rotate it 180. And for sure I'm going to place it in the doors that I require. Let me place this door here, pushing it down again to where required. As you can see, the door is not exactly in the direction I want it to be. So I'm going to right click, flip along components red. You can see the door has turned around, and if I rotate it now, I can have the angle that is required. I'm going to place it here and rescale the door a bit if required by pressing S and scaling my model as per requirement. I'm going to move it in with the frame, and you can see there is a door already fitted pretty well. I'm going to decrease this obtuse angle of the door using the axis to turn right where the rotation point is. and as you can see I have turned it to say 45 degrees. Looks better. We are now going to place components just like that in every puncture, that is every window and every door. Let us go to the group and see what suits us. You can see there are many examples of the windows, but the ones that we require really here now is the French windows. I can see them here. I'm going to copy it. Pan with H. H is the shortcut for pan. You can see here we can place it on the pick point. I'm going to say rotate it to 90 degree. You can either edit the component or simply scale it. At this point, so now what we can do is edit this particular part so that we get what we have in our sizes or dimensions. We need to move these surfaces. I'm going to select all three of them together, and when I move, you can see they are extended. This is a simple method. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move or copy this door, place it right next to the other door, and now I can select all of them together, and I'm going to scale to this particular point. I'm taking it as a track guideline. You can see they have all been scaled. At such points, instead of clicking or selecting, you can simply select this surface and move it. So the complete geometry moves. I'm going to keep pressing the shift so that I don't lose the point, and click. You get two set of doors operating as a French window. I'm going to click this again, scale it up. See, one problem what you face here is you cannot see the point where you have to scale. For that, you can press K, and if you see the geometry turns to the transparent one, you can see what is on the other end. So I'm going to click this here, and it is all scaled. I'm going to deselect. You can see everything is in dotted. As soon as you press K again, it comes back from wire mesh to the solid state again. You can see a set of windows already placed. Similarly, you can use these plain doors for the doors that you have to use in the inside of the house. You can place it directly here. I'm going to pick the corner, place it right over here. You can see I need a little scaling. And when I take the center point and stretch it to the point of the wall, I get the perfect frame. As you can see, it is little short from the bottom. I'm going to scale it again and touch it to the ground. One more important thing, we haven't yet created a floor. Let's do that now. For that, very simply, we are going to create a rectangle and another rectangle. You can see it is all divided into different surfaces. I'm going to make another rectangle here so it divides the plane, and I'm going to erase this part. As you can see, we have two different planes. I'm going to select both of them, make a group, and when I select it again, I can erase this line, and you see we have a single plane. Everything is selected. It just takes a minute to make the flooring. Here, you can go inside the group, divide it according to the areas, like one here, another area here, another one here. So we can have different floorings in the different sections of the house, and this group can be moved down. I'm going to press and hold, or maybe just press and leave the up arrow button, which will keep the line exactly on the blue axis. As you can see, the flooring is ready. As we move forward, we are going to see how we can do the flooring part. We are supposed to move it to the bottom. We're going to use the floor. For example, in this particular room, I would want a different kind of flooring. So I'm going to press B for the brush, and on the right side, you can see the material palette opens up. There are many pre-given options. With the drop down, you can go to the options of surfaces. There are many options, as you can see. I'm going to use, say, tile, and this is something which is already given in there. You can see the tile has been placed. I don't like the tile color, maybe I'll change it to this. Let's go to the next room. As you can see, I have another flooring here, but what I want to do is, maybe I don't like this color, so I'm going to change it. And how I'm going to change the same thing is, I'm going to right click and go to the texture. First of all, I can position, can increase or decrease with these points, with the green one on the green axis. And you can see there are options. These are to share the pin or maybe bend the image in a certain angle. Right click, done. The position or the shape is changed. We can use it according to wherever our texture image has to be placed in precision of the tile design and the tile length. And you right click, you can also do edit texture image. You can see which texture image here you have. Before that, let us also see, with pressing Alt, you can pick the image. When you go to this edit tab, you can open the file, and here I am going to go to references, pick up wooden flooring, open, and you can see you have the wooden flooring already placed. You can edit the texture image according to the scale that you want it to be. Similarly for the wall, when you edit these surfaces, you can color them with whichever color you wish to. Here I'm going to use the simple colors. This doesn't look much different, so I'm going to color it in this particular color. You can change any wall, any color, and you can use this technique to make your textured image look real and more representative. Similarly, using these commands and using the components, you can make a complete floor plan and also use furnitures and scale them in the procedure that we have just learned.